Thank you for watching Creative Backstories. My name is Kendall Brown, creative and entrepreneur. I'm on a mission to inspire others through the power of creativity. Today, I'm in conversation with Alma Roberts, a Baltimore-based abstract artist. Alma came to her art practice later in life and has an amazing story that's sure to inspire. Enjoy the conversation.
Well, I'm Alma, 77-year-old abstract expressionist painter right now. But
I never would have known you were 77.
thank you. Um, but had many hats. The first of which was the ninth child of Alice and William Roberts, and we were West Baltimoreans. That's how I identified early in life. I'm so sorry. Early in
Phones
life,
are fine. Yeah, phones are a part of life.
um, and sort of had these eight other siblings as the most dramatic, profound role models
Mhm.
all of my life.
Mm.
They were they were teachers. They were deans. They were department heads. They were, all of that. And I had the most remarkable set of parents who showed me early in life how you partner, how you make difficult situations work by division of labor, by supporting one another, by having a deep, deep commitment to the priorities of those coming behind you and whom you've been entrusted with. So you know the story that my father was a left-handed portraitist. I never saw his work. His work was astounding, so my older siblings tell me.
Mm.
And he made an ultimate sacrifice. I will say my mother made one as well. She gave up her career. Hadn't quite defined what that would have been, but she married early, and they had this army of children, good old strong army. Um,
Where were
and
your
then he
parents
made
from?
both. My mother, both of them were born here in Baltimore,
Hmm.
but their families came from Virginia and Massachusetts.
Okay.
So my mother's mother came from Massachusetts. So and they all, I think they met at Douglas High School, which was the only school they could have possibly high school they met at. And so he made that ultimate sacrifice of giving up his art at a time when he knew being an artist was not going to feed his family, or
Hmm.
even doing the work he did with his left hand in the library at Goucher College, of putting the numbers on the backs of the books to supplement, his art. And so he gave that up. I
Mm.
never saw any of his work. I was most of my life following in the footsteps of my siblings. High school, I knew I was going to college, had no idea what I was going to go to college to be. And people like parent Jane Mitchell and others saw something in me and helped me. My father, I applied to Morgan and I got in, and my father somehow he wrote out the little money orders
Mm.
and checks that by that in that day and age it was very minor, the per semester cost. And he was so proud to do that. And then when I finished, I was able to get into the University of Michigan School of Public Health. I said, hey, public health. They came around to the HBCUs and others did not. And
Right.
parents said, give it a try, Roberts, give it a try. And so off I went to that university and met some lifelong friends there and finished a master's of public health that launched a 49-year career in healthcare all
Mm.
over this country. VP, CEO, all of that kind of stuff. And then I'm collecting art at this time.
Mhm.
I had also been a literary artist and started a literary group called New Breezes that was had the mission of promoting Black literary artists. Um, And so when I moved from Baltimore to Atlanta in '94, I gave up that group, and I opted to become a mother at the age of 47. I adopted the cutest 4-year-old you ever want to see, and now he's a pretty handsome guy. He's a pretty handsome guy, and I have two grandkids, and
Look
so
at you
all of
glowing.
that's going on. Yes, yes. But so he knew his mom early until the age of like 12 or so
Mhm.
as a healthcare executive, and we collected art. And we went to museums. Cutest little thing in his little suits, looking at Norman Rockwell and pretending to write notes when he didn't know how to write his own name. So we always had art in our lives, even in growing up. And so I had a similar situation occur in November of 2010. The last 2 weeks, this time of the year, I'm really focused in because this is when
Mhm.
this occurred. And you know the story. I
But pretend as
was,
if I don't.
I'm going to pretend. And you just try to imagine every morning. Let's start with the first morning. You're coming, you ain't quite got your consciousness about you, and you're sort of coming to the surface. And some thought, voice, feeling. I can't tell you even to today. And of course, each day I try to think back. What
Mhm.
was that? Was that a voice I heard? Was that Papa? Pick up a paintbrush and paint with your left hand. Over and over and over. It said it for 10 seconds. So the first morning I'm saying, what the hell you think that it was? The next morning is, okay, now what's up here? Okay, and then have that happen for 2 weeks. And you said you go to sleep thinking, I'm going to be ready for this. When it happens tomorrow, I'm going to be ready for this. And the same thing happens. You hear it and you're still in that groggy state, and
Wow.
you're trying to remember, was that Papa speaking to me? Was that God, Jesus, or the disciples sending a message? And so that happened. I started telling my sisters about it and brothers, and they're saying, "Oh, Papa's reaching out to you. He knows you didn't get to see his art, and that other thing." They kind of just tempered me.
Mhm.
They knew I didn't know a daggone thing except what I would buy from emerging artists. And so that continued until about February of two. That was 2010, February of 2011. I met a new friend, uh, Lydia R. Woods. I'm going to call her name because I usually just say Lydia. I usually say a dear friend. And I, of course, was telling everybody that story. And I told her that, and she said, Alma, what have you got to lose? And
Hmm.
she promptly went out and bought me paints, canvases,
Wow.
easel, and And I remember the first day I painted. The next morning, it was about this big, about 2 by 2, and it was the hottest thing ever. It was so I texted her because I was on the train
What
to
was
New York.
it?
It was a little abstract, some cute little red
Mhm.
thing with some things going on. I've
Do,
forgotten the name. She has it.
do you still?
Um,
Oh, okay.
so
Okay. She has it.
yes, I So I texted her, I'm on the train going to DC for some meeting, and I said, I painted all night on my 2 by 2, and I'm going to give you this first painting. And so I did that, and I've given her several others since then. And so off I went painting, and I would put the paintings in my closet. I'm feeling okay. This is cathartic, and I'm
Right.
I'm, I'm really getting down to this, and I hope I'm doing what Papa wants. And I was painting almost exclusively with my left hand,
Hmm.
and I'm right. But I did say I'm right-handed, and so sticking them in the closet. And of course, I would allow her to go in and see them, and I would give a few away, and then she insisted that I start showing my work, and I thought I would die of a heart attack. No way! You can't see these. Nobody can see these. But I don't know if you know Kevin Brown, who owns Nancy Snack and all of that. She and Kevin got together,
Mhm.
and they helped me get over the fright of the fear of showing my art publicly. And I had my first exhibit, which we literally hung ourselves at Nancy by Snack in 2000 and it was 2016 or so, something like that.
Wow.
Yeah, so I had been painting for about 4 or 5 years, mainly with, and in 15 I started painting with my right hand because I
Hmm.
said, let me just see what happens if I do this. And so things really started to take off then. And then in about 16, I had that exhibit, and then I was at another friend in DC had me do uh, put up my art in his office space. Mayor Catherine Pugh came through, and she offered me a solo exhibit at City Hall, and
Oh my
big
goodness.
sales, big sales, and then it's been that kind of thing ever since. I am part of a cohort of African American and an artist of color called Black Art Today Foundation, and they
Mhm.
have really helped accelerate my visibility. They put me in exhibits at Neiman Marcus and other places across the DMV, and then just really have cultivated an amazing group of collectors, about 120 people, and some have five, some have two, and my paintings are selling for 4 and 5 figures. I've painted 5.5 hundred, paint about 550 paintings over these
Wow.
years. Yeah,
Oh my
and so
goodness.
it's like your story. It's like your story,
I
and
had no
then
idea. Yeah.
yeah, and then people. I was at an opening in Silver Spring on Saturday, and people came in and said, "I've been following you," and I'm like, "What? What?" You hear that? You can't. I'm
Yeah, yeah.
following your work, and I'm saying, "Good grief." So it's just been exceptional. And I am on a mission to paint my way through life. You probably saw that quote
Hmm.
somewhere in your research. But I've got a limited amount of time. I need to make sure people know where I stand on issues, what lessons I've learned over these years, what funny stories, what sad stories, what enriching stories I want to leave behind as part of my legacy. And that's what I'm about.
Hmm.
And I'm sticking to it.
Oh my, thank you. Thank you so much for sharing some of the many of the details that I hadn't heard. Just an
Yeah.
amazing, amazing story. Oh my goodness. What an
Thank you.
amazing ride. What an
It
amazing
is
ride.
mind boggling. I go down to
Yeah.
in my house, I have a gallery in the basement, and I stand down there in the middle of that room, and I look around and I said, "My Lord, where did you all come from?" And then I say, "Papa, you always wanted to
Yeah.
be an abstractionist."
Yeah. 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 Oh my goodness.
So,
So let's back up a little bit. Talk to me about your childhood. What claimed your attention as a child? Another way of saying it, how did creativity show up in your childhood?
how did creativity show up in my childhood? I think it showed up in play early on,
Hmm.
and how I would ride my bike at the age of 3 to the corner store, and I was taking ventures. I wasn't just going down to the end of the corner. Those were uh, outings, if you will. At the
Hmm.
age of 3 or 4, you're riding your bicycle, and you've mastered this three-wheel thing, and it's an adventure. And so I would make up where I was going. So these creative things, it wasn't just going down to the corner foreman's corner store. It was just fascinating things that I would make up as a tiny little kid. So, and then as I aged as a teenager, my literary work started to take. I always had journals, and then I started writing poetry, and then I started writing short stories, and I've have two anthologies that have been published with a group of African American literary artists um, under this New Breezes organization, that nonprofit that I started. And so that's how it showed up. And then all through that, my adult life, I've been a collector of visual arts and
Hmm.
music.
Hmm.
And so I have to curb my collecting down because my walls are just they got Alma Roberts all over them now. So, but that's the journey. That's the journey from a little kid, just with a imagination,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
making up stories.
yeah, yeah. So you've held on to your creativity, and it's been evolving and shifting, and so it's
Yes.
yeah, yeah. It's been
Hmm.
a
Hmm.
it's been a
Yeah,
creative.
I don't write hardly anything anymore, except when
Okay.
I'm writing blurbs about my paintings, and
Hmm.
so those can get kind of you know meaty uh,
Yes, yes.
as I write a paragraph or so about my paintings. But yeah, it's been quite a journey, quite a journey.
Did spirituality play a role in your early life?
Yes, we were devout Methodists early in my
Hmm.
life. We went to all of us went to Sharp Street Methodist
Uh-huh.
Church um, on Dolphin and Edding Street in West Baltimore, and
Hmm.
which is where we spent most of my life. I live in West Baltimore now, and so my
It's well known in
grandmother.
Methodism.
Yes, it is. Yes, it
Yes.
is. My grandmother was very active in that church and the leadership of that church, and out of that church came the Baltimore branch of the NAACP with
Hmm.
Juanita Jackson Mitchell. All of those Mitchell
Yes.
folks were a part of that church, and my grandmother was actively involved in that. I didn't say my family is very much activist, and so that was that. I'm sure that was spurned by our going to the church that we went to, and
Hmm.
so we every Sunday we went to church.
Hmm.
And as I grew up, and my sister married an Episcopalian, I shifted to be Episcopalian. It appealed to me at the time. The ritual
Hmm.
of the mass appealed to me, and so
Hmm.
I attended St. Mary the Virgin Church in West Baltimore.
Hmm.
I and when COVID hit, somehow the virtual masses were not clicking with me, and I've sort of fallen off the wagon, if you will,
Yes, yes,
but
yes.
not in my heart. I'm very
Hmm.
much very spiritual, very much um, live by the tenets of Christ.
So tell me a little more about your art. What would you say you're trying to communicate in your art?
Hmm. Hmm. I'm trying to communicate, and every day I'm marvel all that I never knew about the history of Black folks
Hmm.
in this country. So I've just last July I just went to the Whitney Plantation in Louisiana, and then
Hmm.
over to Africatown in
Hmm.
Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah.
I'm on a journey to do those kind of pilgrimages.
Hmm.
So part of my work, you will see me painting about lynching, about what the beach, what beaches meant to the newly freed people, and
Hmm.
how we got beachfront properties, and because we couldn't go anywhere else, that's where we built vacation opportunities and homes and those kind of things. So I've got a painting called Beaches, and that's literally showing us,
I'll
you
show you
know,
something after we're done.
okay. So I'm chronicling what as I learn a new piece of our history. I'm trying to paint about it. So Tulsa and Rosewood and all of
Hmm.
those you will see in my work. The finding of the Clotilda. I have a they found the Clotilda is
Right.
one of my paintings.
Hmm.
20 Aboard the White Lion, that the first ship that brought 20 enslaved people to these shores.
Hmm.
Those kinds of things are what I'm really chronicling uh, as part of my work. The
Hmm.
other part is lessons I've learned in terms of um, Masamore, the importance of love and giving love. All of those kinds of lessons that I've learned are the other part, and then some are just frivolous, like the mystery of pie. Well, how I have a little section of paintings called "Things in Life I Can't Explain," and how I've spent a good part of my life trying to figure out how something as finite as a number can be infinite
Hmm.
in terms of pi. So I can be frivolous as well. So that's about what I'm doing.
What has surprised you most in this journey of art making, in terms of what you've learned about yourself, what you've learned about the experience itself of making art?
Hmm. Hmm. Well, when I started out, I knew almost nothing. I would I was drawn to certain colors, so
Hmm.
I kind of used a particular palette. I knew nothing about different media. I was going out in the front yard and grabbing dirt out of the yard and crunching the leaves up and mixing it with paint. Till I happened on the YouTube, and it talked about all the different mediums that you could buy that would make your work look crackly and or give
To
you
give you
depth
texture,
and
yeah.
all of the texture and all that stuff.
Hmm.
So that's been a part of my journey, is really learning from art, learning from other artists, learning from art on the walls. And I've always attended museums and gallery opens and stuff like that. I have a different look now when I go. I'm
Hmm.
looking with a growing knowledge and an increasing inquisitiveness.
Hmm.
So I'm looking closer at the paintings, and
Yes.
I'm able to identify what's realism and abstraction and where there's texture and all that kind of stuff. So there's that takes up the good bit of my time, really learning and chronicling everything I should
Yes,
uh,
yes.
in the time that I have left.
As a self-taught artist, you've just forged your way ahead, and it whereas some folks have a bit of trepidation around engaging that world, I think probably because of your experience and having appreciated art for a large part of your life, you've been able to. Seems like you've been able to fully engage in that world. How has that experience been
Mhm.
as a
I,
self-taught
I've been
artist?
I've been fortunate to be around a lot of artists. I have posted a picture of me in a group with Joyce Scott and Amy Sherrill. Well, hello, you can't get in. And I wasn't painting. I don't know. I can't even remember how I ended up there. Except somehow I started hanging out with artists when I came back to Baltimore about 20 or some years ago. And so there I am sitting in the middle of that regalness of art regalness, and listening and learning. And so that's the way have approached everything in life. It's a
Hmm.
continuing journey of learning. Um, but I will say that um, promoting myself, once I got over the trepidation of bringing the stuff out of the closet and putting it on the walls, comes from being an executive
Hmm.
at some of the higher levels, and how to market, how to communicate with your collectors so that they have some buy-in, and know
Right.
that I just didn't sell them a painting and disappeared, that kind of thing. Keeping them informed of all the advances in my career and all that. So bringing some of that over
Your
from
professional knowledge, yes, yes,
professional
yeah,
knowledge.
gave you a leg up.
Yes.
How have the folks around you been inspired by your newfound creativity? What has that been like? Yeah.
Well, they're I have four. I have three sisters left now.
Hmm.
They're my biggest cheerleaders. They buy my art too, at the family rate. I was giving them away, and they said, "No, no, 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 no. We want to buy them," and so they've got them all over their walls. Um, they are. The profoundness of my the being in a large family and a large family that was largely professional was that they provided a pathway, role models, how to uh, navigate, and they insulated me from some of the pains and sorrows that Black women have to
Hmm.
navigate. They gave me pathways to travel and solutions, and they gave me ears to help unload on and with, and so that the I can't say enough about my family, and in terms of the cheering on. And
Hmm.
then there's people like Lydia Woods and Kevin Brown who
Yes.
they and so the this year especially, I'm finding that through social media, and I think it's us having had the lockdown of COVID for those years, um, that I'm getting a level of notoriety. And so
Hmm.
when I'm in places, people say, "Oh, I know your work. I'm following your work." So you're inspiring. Your story is inspiring, and
Right.
that YouTube thing that is currently out has over 10,000 views. A lot of people
It's
have
well
commented.
done. Yeah,
Thank
it's well
you. Yeah,
done. Yeah. Hmm.
yeah. So that's how I'm spending my time, and what's important to me right now
Yeah.
is to
Yeah.
continue to learn, to continue and to be grateful for anybody who's finding inspiration from my story.
Hmm. Hmm. One thing I did want to just circle back around to is the ways in which you were open to hearing the voice of your father. Um, certain there can sometimes be a taboo
Hmm.
related to that openness and that awareness. Is there anything in particular that gave you that kind of openness? Are there other experiences? Have you is that is that a theme within your family? I know my grandmother embodied that. She was always getting messages and always talking about messages. So it's just part of our DNA as a family. But
Hmm.
yeah.
I can't say that. I can't say that it runs in my family.
Hmm.
It had weighed heavily on my heart as an adult that my father um, never got to paint in his later years or even in his retirement.
Hmm.
So the very fact that this voice or this thought, because I still can't remember whether it was my father's voice, was this very distinctly saying, "Paint with your left hand." I assumed it was him and or somebody
Yes.
who was advocating for the path that he had taken, and so um, it got my attention immediately. The left hand,
Hmm.
and I said, "My goodness, what is this?" And so, while I didn't know that I could do any of this, I talked about it incessantly. I mean, there wasn't a day that I didn't talk to somebody about what was happening. Because, first of
Yeah.
all, 2 weeks of it, it was happening live every
Hmm.
morning. And so I certainly started with the insular group. She's not crazy. My sisters were
People who wouldn't call 911.
at 911 and get the straight jacket. So, and they try to comfort me. They say, "Oh, Papa's reaching out to you," that kind of thing. And then reaching out beyond that to a very small, limited group of friends, and then a new friend who said, "Well, what you got to lose?" and didn't
Yeah.
think it was crazy at all. And so, and you'd be surprised. I can't recall specifics, but just like you, we have these encounters. We
Hmm.
have these encounters.
Hmm.
And more and more folks, when I tell my story, I was with a group of people the other night, and a woman told a story about an encounter with one of her ancestors.
Hmm. Hmm.
So we might have been missing them,
Yes.
and not open to them, which is what your point is. And I think the more we tell the stories, the more open we are to receiving them.
Hmm.
Hmm.
Indeed, indeed.
Hmm.
I'll have to tell you about the backstory of one day down the road of my
Okay.
grandmother and my mother, who were also creatives, and how that plays
Isn't that
into
something?
my story as well. But
Isn't that something?
what an amazing journey! So what's next? What's next?
Well, I have suddenly I'm interested in the secondary market, the auction market. I had a painting sell recently, and I have been approached and working with two. There's a profession of folks who represent collectors, and
Hmm.
they scout and bring
Right.
people. So I've come to the attention of two of those folks, and so um, learning that, and
Up, 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 and up.
yeah, and then just really trying different surfaces for my painting. Um, I'm always looking I got a nice kind of piece with all kinds of. It's a wooden piece with all kinds of little sections in it. I'm getting ready to see what comes out on that, and so
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and just being I'm very happy to be a part of the Black Art Today cohort of artists. They are both realist and abstractionist, very highly talented people. I
Hmm.
learned a great deal from all of them.
Hmm.
So just keep it. I got to get that messaging down on the canvas. That's my main
Yes, yes.
focus.
Hmm. Hmm. So, to close out, what would you share with a person who is struggling or wrestling with returning to their creative self, or embracing creativity, or finding a new path for creativity or self-expression? What would you offer to a person?
Well, I would say that the times that I spend in galleries and in at art shows, expose yourself to the things you think you might be interested. If it's literary, make sure you go to poetry readings, that type of thing. Um, I go to as many art openings as I'm in as part of my learning process.
Hmm.
But when I feel I'm getting in a cramped space, I just get canvases and try something new. Paint
Yeah.
or pick an artist and read about them. That might have a style that's interested to, and then try something similar. It's paint, paint, paint um, um, for both learning and documenting. Hmm.
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
read, write, paint, paint, paint.
Excellent, excellent.
Hmm.
Well, this has been such a gift, an amazing gift, and a joy
And
chatting with you.
chatting,
I'm
hearing your story. I'm so honored to meet you.
No, no, the honor has been all mine, and I look forward to seeing your work in person.
Oh,
I really do.
well, you whenever you're ready, you let me know. Now,
I
how will this play out? This will be on YouTube, but will it be visual or just the vocal?
it'll be visual.
Okay.
So
Hmm.
so I have someone who's going to do the editing because
Yeah, I got you.
that's not my forte. So so we'll add an intro and an outro. One other thing, tell folks how to find you.
How to find me? Okay.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
So
on the internet
yes.
or
So
social media. What's the best
I'm
way?
on Facebook, Alma Roberts Studios. I'm on Instagram, Alma Roberts Art.
Hmm.
And my website is www.almaroberts.com. And
That's simple enough.
that'll get you some other places too.